This is 1 in 44, a presentation of Anderson Center for Autism. 1 in 44 is a weekly show devoted to autism spectrum disorder.
Good morning and welcome to 1 in 44, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, Chief Development Officer at Anderson Center for Autism. And today I have one of my annual favorite guests to speak with, Jamie Bishop, owner and brewmaster at Millhouse Brewing Company in Poughkeepsie. Jamie, hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Every time I talk to you, I harken back to when we first met years ago, when there was a mutual interest in partnering up together in April for autism, what used to really be called Autism Awareness Month, now is really moving into Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month, which is, I think, a really positive move in the right direction, and means that the awareness efforts that partnerships like ours have been doing for years are really having an impact in the community. So thank you first and foremost for being a steadfast friend and partner with Anderson. Why don't you start off by telling us about, you and the brewery, how things are going, and maybe some of the history of this Mr. Anderson Ale partnership.
Yeah, we started this project, I believe, about 9 years ago. This will be our ninth, I believe, right? We've been in existence for 10. So, that first year when we opened up, it was really about trying to meet as many people in the community as we could. And that's how we met. Right. Yeah, and they had this great idea and really young, hungry brewer to do things for a cause. Beer with a cause is always better than just a beer. Beer is great either way, but when you can say it's behind a cause, it's awesome. Yep. So, we started to flush this kind of loose idea out that day. And I remember when we do beers here, they really mean something to us. So I was like, I need to know more. I need to know more about you guys. And this idea came up to meet Vance Gage, which was awesome. So, we spoke and, we found out there was some Scottish history to the family and got the story of, kind of the founding of the Anderson Center in this beautiful family story. And we said, you know what, let's make this a Scottish beer. It makes sense to us. And then we started to learn more about the campaign at the time, like you were just saying about awareness. And at that time, it was a campaign of 1 in 68, you know? So we were like, all right, cool. We'll make this a 68 shilling. And it made a lot of sense. And, we were really, really positive about helping someone local. And a charity that, is right in our backyard. I mean, all charities are great, but it's great when you can really do something locally, know people, have relationships over a decade, So we're really excited every year to do this beer. The beer never changes, but we're going to change it this year. We're doing a small tweak and, we're going to call it a 44 shilling. And, I'm sure you can tell us why we're making those changes better than me.
I'm happy to. I also want to give a little background for anybody who may not know who Vance Gage is. Vance is the grandson of the founder of what was Anderson School, what is now Anderson Center for Autism. His grandfather, Dr. Victor V. Anderson, founded Anderson School in 1924. So we're actually coming up also very soon on our 100th anniversary as an organization. And Vance wasn't around in 1924, but has been around a long time and actually spent time on this campus growing up, helping to kind of create the campus, working here as a teacher, and then became a teacher down in Washington, D.C., where he still lives as a retired educator. Also, quite a beer aficionado, which I only learned through this whole relationship because Vance actually had the opportunity when you expressed interest in learning about his story and his family's history, of which he's very proud. He got to come up and brew the first batch with you guys. And I have to say, just listening to him tell that story, I really still think that for a man who's seen so much in his life experience and really had an impact on the lives of a lot of the students that he's taught, I still think that day just ranks up there with one of his best days. We do talk about that when we see each other. It's one of it is my favorite collaboration brew session I've ever had, and such a wise person to spend the day with someone like that. And to just hear their life experiences and just talk about big things and small things and do it over beer, which is like my favorite thing. So we really hit it off on the right foot from day one. He is the only honorary brewmaster at Millhouse Brewing Company. He's earned that title for sure.
But
That's awesome.
it's just like it's a fun thing. Beer is cool, and it's fun and it's hip, and I think it's also been that way kind of throughout time and history, right? Like the pub or those social places where people get together, talk life, politics, love lost, anything like that, right?
That's a very good point, and I think it speaks to kind of an aspect I haven't really thought about before, but there is so much that gets discussed, and for centuries and centuries, right, around the pub, whether you're drinking a beer or drinking something else or just enjoying a meal together. And I think that that's something that is changing within our community. And when I say our community, you could look at it as Dutchess County or, even smaller than that, or you could go really big and say within the community of people in our world, the discussions and conversations around autism awareness, and now moving into autism acceptance, and really embracing that idea, the conversation has changed. And the community, I've been saying this now for a while, but it keeps resonating with me. The autism community, I feel you can describe as both very large, because going back to the number piece, right, it's 1 in 44, because that represents the current statistics in the United States of the number of children diagnosed on the spectrum. When we started this partnership, like you said, about 10 years ago, it was 1 in 68. And when I started this radio podcast, it was 1 in 88, which was the original name of this show. So this show is now named 1 in 44. The beer is being renamed 1 in 44. And it's all because I think the awareness and the acceptance and the understanding, and obviously the numbers of people on the spectrum in our communities and our neighborhoods is growing. But anyway, it's just, so I think that you could make the claim that the community, the autism community, if you want to call it that, is gigantic and really large. But it also has started, as it grows, it almost feels smaller and tighter, because you are always going to run into somebody or meet someone or be related to someone or teach someone, or learn from someone who is on the autism spectrum. And I think that takes a really large group of people and gives a unifying kind of connectivity, which what better place than an awesome brewery with great food and great beer than, like Millhouse, than, another place to do that.
We bring it together, right? Yeah. And speaking to this community, being a part of this project, I've gotten to meet parents who've come in, or donors, you know what I mean? So it's drawn that bigger community very small for me and brought me into it, which is really cool. And I think that's kind of, what this whole thing's about for us. It's, the beer is something, but it's really just a vessel to tell the message, right? And we are that place where people talk. So like, my managers down to the people in the kitchen know this story of the beer. My servers are telling that to every single person who comes into the restaurant. It's on all of the media that's in our flights and, our menus. And so it becomes part of who we are. And we do that every year for a month as an amoeba, but my amoeba is, 80 people. So as an entity, we're really impactful, right? Yeah. And we're fortunate enough to be a place where the community comes out. So we get to touch a lot of people. So, the awareness, I think, of this has always been the biggest impact of the project. We do donate, obviously. We're a small business, so we do the best we can that way. But I think the best part of this is really just every year telling an evolving message, I guess now, as well. Like it's changing.
Well, and it's still an important conversation to have. When you're in an awareness campaign, and even if it's morphing and growing and sort of channeling in different places, I think the worst thing one can do is say, oh, the conversation doesn't need to be had anymore because we did it. It's like never that, right? It's always, the conversation needs to keep happening. It just might be a slightly different conversation, or it might be a conversation with other people you haven't had that conversation with. But but it doesn't ever end. We're coming close to the end of our first half of the show. I want to do a little quick shout out. We're going to once again host our launch party coming up on March 30th of this year. Always a fun event. It's $35 a person. The folks there are going to be a mix of Anderson team members. We always encourage our team members to come out and enjoy a night out and some great food that you guys provide. And obviously get to get to drink the 1 in 44, the Mr. Anderson Ale, as well as other Millhouse beers that are on tap that night and available. And it's also open to the public. We would love to see some folks just stop by that evening. Again, March 30th. Information can be found on our website. One important thing to note, we need to have a head count. And so if you're planning on coming and you're listening, please RSVP and purchase your ticket ahead of time on our website, which is andersoncenterforautism.org. Otherwise, we will not be able to sell tickets at the door. So just FYI on that. Also, you said that you donate. You do so much. So don't sell yourself short. Throughout the entire month of April, $1 for every pint of Mr. Anderson Ale that is sold at Millhouse gets donated to Anderson Foundation for Autism. And that has been going on since the beginning of this partnership. You do make an impact. It does help us accomplish our goals and to optimize the quality of life for people with autism, which is our mission. So please know that if you're planning to go in, even if you can't make the 30th, go in another day in April and order the Mr. Anderson Ale, because you'll be having a delicious beer, sampling something you've probably never tried before because it's brand new, and also making an impact at a local organization where we're doing really excellent work for wonderful people and their families. And I have so many other things I could say, but I'm going to save some for the second half. I want to end this first half just with this comment. I want to thank you, Jamie, and your whole team, because when we were going through the pandemic, it would have been an easy sort of moment to break this relationship. There was so much going on, and restaurants and breweries were taking a huge hit. And we know that. And you guys found a way to keep it going. You did. There was sausage making on Zoom. I mean, there was you sitting in the in the brewing room, like telling us all how you brew beer. I just really want to thank you on behalf of our whole community for being flexible and creative and sticking with us through that really hard time when you could have just probably sent your team home to get a good night's sleep, or, done something else, or tried to just sort of take a break from it, and you didn't. And that's what makes a partnership like this unique and really strong. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And we feel the same way. We, so passionate about this project that nothing can stop it. Right. I told you guys year one, like, we'll do this until we're not here. Right. Because it's such a good thing. And it's a feel good thing between both of us. It always has between our organization. So thank you for that. Our pleasure. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk more about the rest of this whole partnership and what you can expect when you come on in to try one. All right. This is 1 in 44, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, and we'll be right back.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
And now, 1 in 44 continues on 100.7 WHUD. This is a weekly community affairs program presented by the Anderson Center for Autism.
Welcome back to 1 in 44, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, and I'm talking with Jamie Bishop, who is the owner and brewmaster at Millhouse Brewing Company in Poughkeepsie. It's a wonderful place to go. The food is fantastic. The beer is fantastic. And we're talking about our annual sort of Mr. Anderson Ale launch, the party, the month, the fundraising. And as you mentioned before, Jamie, you called it an amoeba. You're amoeba of people. But really where I get really touched by a lot of this is the efforts that you've made over the years to educate your entire team at Millhouse about the story, about Vance, about the beer, about Anderson's history, about what we currently are doing. And I want to tell two quick stories, and then I want you to just react to them and tell your own if you have them. The first year we did this, I came in for dinner sometime during that month, and I did not see you. So I was just, a dinner patron. I came in and I sat at a table, and a server came up and started immediately telling us about Mr. Anderson, which at that time was the 1 in 68 shilling beer. And I was like, I must have looked ridiculous because I probably had a grin on my face and she didn't know why, but I just sat back in my chair and listened to this perfect stranger confidently and competently and passionately talk about why we should consider purchasing a Mr. Anderson ale that night. Had no idea who I was. And it was just awesome to see something that you had said you were going to do. And there it was happening right in front of me. And it was just, that was really impactful because that showed me they're doing this with everybody. And they believe in it and they know it's making a difference. So that was really cool. The other story is more recent. It was last year's launch. And I remember you and I met up. I think I did a pour, which scared the life out of me. I don't know why. I could never be a bartender. It'd be far too stressful. But while my team and I were there celebrating the launch day and the first pour, there was a brand new family to Anderson, two parents who had very recently dropped their son off at Anderson and then had moved from Long Island to this area to be closer to him. They were sitting across the bar. And after a little while, they came over and said hello and we hung out. And I just wanted you to recognize that, like, it really is a place where people are coming together around knowing how much you and your team support Anderson and support this partnership. Yeah. And that mom is now the president of our Anderson Family Partners group, which is a group of families from Anderson who advocate and fundraise and support each other. And she was there that day. And I just wanted you to know that.
Yeah. If the walls could talk, in 10 years, the great stories it would tell. We don't want to know about the bad ones. I'm sure there's a few, but there's, I think, it's amazing to just sit back and take the 30,000 foot view once in a while of like how many connections have happened there locally for myself. And, I've had family parties there and engagements and baby showers for family members. And, it's part of me, obviously. Yeah. But I think we're part of the community now. We're almost like OG. It's kind of crazy, for like a brewery in the Poughkeepsie area.
Well, these days they're popping up everywhere.
Yeah. And I think Danny, who's my partner, our chef, I think our passion is what really infects our staff. And as owners, I'm at the brewery today. I'm at the brewery every day. He's there every day. And 10 years in, we're still creative and just wanting to keep push. And I think that's part of it. And, go back to names, like you said before, and you heard Mr. Anderson. Like, I remember those early days when I would just hear somebody order a cold one. And it would just give me goosebumps, right? Like, this is real. Like, pitch me that this is real. And I know it's real now, but we still have the same excitement. And I think that goes to our staff, and they know what it means to us. So then, they're out there at the tables and the front face of this business, talking to people about, what we're pouring into that food and what we're pouring into that beer.
Oh, yeah.
And the story of what we're trying to do in our community. I mean, we work with the Sparrow's Nest, another great local charity that we're behind. And there's so many more. I don't want to start listing, but it's just amazing, like how many connections we've made and how many lives we've been able to impact in a great way through what we love to do.
Yeah. And it's not about naming all the different charities or being competitive about it. I think it's more a testament to the personality and the culture of your business. It's also possible to run a restaurant or a hospitality business of any kind and not take an interest in your local community and not take an interest in supporting and just saying, look, it's hard enough to survive ourselves and to pay our staff and to keep it going. I think it's more about, the conscious decision that you, and I know Danny's very involved too. And Danny was the one behind the whole sausage making. I watched him do that. And saw his passion for that. And also saw that here's a guy who's working 7 days a week. He's an owner, he's a chef, and he's taking time out to do something very particular and very specific for our event. Again, that was during COVID and could have been an opportunity to say, you know what, let's just take a break for the year and kind of recoup. But you didn't do that, which was awesome. So again, let me throw out the details. The launch party for this year's Mr. Anderson Ale, which is a 1 in 40 or it's a 44 shilling ale. is March 30th, and it is information can be found on our website. So go to andersoncenterforautism.org to buy your tickets. It's $35 a person. It's open to the public. A lot of folks from Anderson will be there. There'll also be door prizes and things that you can win all evening. There'll be delicious food coming up throughout the evening.
I'll be there to say hi and thank everybody as well. And I always love to be there to have that first beer with everybody of April, or a day early, which is fine too.
Yes.
It's a great night. It's always fun. And like you said, connections are made there. And it's a fun night. I love what you guys do, and your staff's amazing as well. So everybody come on out. Come on out.
It's really always a fun time. Yeah. I will. Can you tell us, just since you are the brewmaster, just tell us give us a glimpse of what the beer is going to be like this year. Is alcohol content? Is it a session ale, which I always like to throw that because you taught me what that means. I like to show off that I know that. Does it going to taste different than previous years? Give us a little. Yeah,
I'd like to say that we're pretty consistent here at Millhouse, but one of the things we do pride ourselves on is that we make small batch craft beer. And, as a brewmaster, my job is if you come into my pub every week and you're drinking, Cold One, which is my flagship. And I still don't think that beer's done. My work's not done here. So my job is to do those changes very small. So maybe this batch from last batch is better because we've learned things and we've grown is what we do for a craft. But in the heart of this beer, it's always the same. There's about 9 malts in this beer. It has no real base malt. It's got a lot of flavor and character, but Vance and I both agreed that it's a good idea when you do a beer for charity, they don't make anything too strong, right? Because what we really want is for people to have more than one of these. So that way I get to donate an extra $1. Right. So if we make this beer a session beer, which it's actually really low gravity, meaning alcohol content's 3.8% ABV. So it's kind of like a light beer, but it's got a brown kind of caramel color. It's got a lot of flavor. It's very rich, but it's also dry and crisp and easy drinking. So I think it really can relate to a lot of different palates. It's not very bitter. So it's got a sweeter kind of, think of bread, like good artisanal bread in a glass. That's what this beer is,
That's good to me.
Yeah.
Make me thirsty. All right. Well, that's thank you for the overview. We're excited about it. And then remind us, are you still letting people get growlers and crowlers of this?
Yeah, absolutely. We don't sell the actual jug glass growlers, but you can bring yours. We'll fill it for you. We believe in the crowler because, aluminum's 3 times more likely to be recycled. Plus, you can bring it a lot more places. And it's actually better for the beer. So, if you choose to use your glass,
I didn't know that.
So be it. That's cool. But from our perspective, man, again, we really love what we do. So we switched, again, always trying to improve. And we brought in a crowler machine because it doesn't let light into that beer. And it's really, a better way to store it. And you can bring it more places. Think about the pool, the beach, the state park, places you're not supposed to bring glass.
I brought it on a boat. So
there you go. That boat beers are the best beers.
So I know what you're talking about. I didn't know that about the light, though. That makes sense. So as always, sometime in our conversation, you teach me something, little nugget of new information about beer. And I just, again, I think we're pretty much running out of time here, but I just want to say on behalf of the entire Anderson community, so all of our almost 900 team members, our families, many of whom, again, either spend time up here locally or have moved up here to this area to be closer to their loved one at Anderson. Our trustees, we have many board members, including Vance, who likes to come out to this event and interact with everybody and have some tasty beer and some food and really thank and appreciate you all and your team. We just want to say a big thank you for sticking with us and for doing this again. And remember, go to andersoncenterforautism.org to find our event registration page, and you can buy tickets. It's $35 a person for this event. We cannot sell tickets at the door. We need to give Jamie and his team a heads up about how many people are coming. So you got to get your tickets early so we know who's going to be there. But March 30th, and then throughout the whole month of April, when you stop in and get a Mr. Anderson, $1 comes to Anderson for every pint that's sold. And Jamie, any last words?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. And, we really, really do look forward to this project every year. It's fun. It feels good. And I think it brings people together, and, nothing can stop this, not a pandemic. I think, good things like this, passion projects, they that's why they're successful. So, really thank you for the opportunity to be able to help people, and a platform to, just really talk about us as well. And, what our mission is to make good food, good beer. Come check us out. Come to this party. It's always a good time. Yeah,
it is. And I can't wait to see you there. Thanks so much, Jamie. Cool. And please pass along our thanks to your whole team.
You got it. Cheers.
Cheers. This is 1 in 44, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky. And remember, Anderson cares.
You've been listening to 1 in 44, a weekly presentation of the Anderson Center for Autism. Join us for another edition of the show at this time next weekend.